I am the daughter of Gladys, who is the daughter of Bernice, who is the daughter of Gladys, who is the daughter of Winnie. I am the daughter of Gladys, who is the granddaughter of Francis, who is the daughter of Ida, who is the daughter of Francis. These are my roots. I am the fruit of their tree. This is Black Steel Magnolia. I'm Tami Sawyer, a Black Southern girl here to talk to you about tough issues, introduce you to the people I love, and give you a kick in the ass to be the change you want to see in the world. Let's get started. What up, y'all? It is the week of May 10th, and you're listening to Black Steel Magnolia, and I am Tami Sawyer, and I am extremely tired. I don't know about you, but it just feels like I have fatigue in my heart, my soul, my mind, my bones. I don't know if it's this Rona or what, but I need a break, a nap, something. It's just like an Energizer bunny going nonstop from commission to work to family to projects, from commission to work to family to projects. I feel like that could be a beat. Commission to work to family to projects. Commission to work to family to projects. It's not an Afro beat, and it's not a hip hop beat. Maybe it'd be like a techno beat. Doom, doom, doom. Commission to work to family to. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with that. I was talking to my mom the other day, and she said, "Do you know how often you tell me I'm tired?" I said, "No, like once a week." And she says, "All the time. You need to handle that." And she's right. I don't know how, though. It's not like we can take a vacation right now, but maybe I'll build a sand pit in the backyard or something and get a mini turtle pool. Yeah, no. But regardless of how tired I am, y'all, I am just glad to be here. I'm glad for another day to take a deep breath, to play with my cats, to look outside and see the sun and watch people drive crazy ATVs up and down my block at 9 p.m. I've heard about too many people losing friends and family. I've lost friends and family. And this isn't just to COVID-19. It just seems like right now loss is pretty big, and it's harder because we cannot mourn in the ways that we're used to as a society. We're watching funerals online. We're doing drive-by funerals. And it's tough. It's hard. It's going to be interesting, the emotional and mental impact this time period has on our society. So I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to be here because there are people who are still getting separated from their families and being put into detention centers in unsanitary conditions. So I'm glad that I can go ring my parents' doorbell and poke my head in for a hot second and say hello, or talk to my mom through the window. I have a friend, a good friend, Esso Tolson, who is an artist here in Memphis, and he made a t-shirt that says, "Didn't die yesterday." I rarely wear the t-shirt. I pull it out when times feel heavy or when I feel the need to acknowledge someone's life. It is a bit like the NAACP "A man was lynched yesterday" flag for me. It is a reminder to anyone who sees the shirt, and to me when I put it on, that my tomorrow and no one else's tomorrow is not promised, especially as a Black person. Everyone's heard the story of Ahmaud Arbery, and it's been hard for me because I felt numb. I read the details, I started the video, I didn't finish it, and I didn't know what to say. I just kind of went through the motions. I shared the news articles, I talked about it a bit with friends, but I couldn't bring myself to feel deeply the action motivation that I usually would. I cut myself off from it. I almost felt like if I gave in to the feelings I knew were there, that I would boil over. And it was this past weekend when everyone was doing I Run for Ahmaud, and I really wanted to do it, and I walked around with my shoes on all day, and I just would not get out. And I felt like if I'd walked those 2.3 miles, I would have broken down crying. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I'm so tired of new hashtags. And I'm tired of defending to people what it means to us when there is a new hashtag. I don't want to argue with you about the fact that people who are Black kill each other sometimes. I don't want to argue with you about whether or not there's domestic violence in the community, whether or not there's homicides in the Black community, when disproportionately our community has been treated like second-class citizens by law enforcement for way too long. And I'm an elected official saying this. This gets me in a lot of trouble, trust me. A whole lot of trouble, too often. But I don't care, because for too long I've watched this happen. And if we don't speak out and change it now, it's going to be 3-4 generations later before anything, if anything, changes for our people as far as it comes to our interactions with the police. I also want to lift up Breonna Taylor. I first heard her story from Brittany Packnett, who shared the story of this young, under 30-year-old woman who was shot 8 times by police, and she was an EMT. They entered her house with no warning and shot her, and they were looking for someone else, someone she didn't know. They had the wrong address and the wrong description, and they killed her, and no one was arrested. And that's why we're tired. We're tired because we don't get justice. If I shoot you tomorrow, I say this all the time, if I shoot you tomorrow, I'm going to jail, or I'm getting, or I'm not going to even make it to jail. But if I'm shot by a police officer, they are given the full breadth of innocent until proven guilty. At most, leave with pay. And if it gets scary for them, then they leave the police force and go to another police force, move to another state or another town. People raise millions of dollars for them on GoFundMe, while our mothers struggle to bury us. There's no pictures of the bad side of their lives, while everything that we've ever done wrong is splashed across the internet. And so when we're saying that our lives are not considered equally, when we're saying we're tired of being victims, of being treated like predators, that's what we're talking about. There's no equal justice for Black people in this country. There's no equal justice for Latinx people in this country. And we're still going to fight for it, but we are tired. But for all of us who are here today, for me being able to talk to you, and for you being able to listen, we didn't die yesterday. So we got to keep fighting tomorrow. There's so many ways we can fight injustice. And one of those is by making sure we do our census. It might sound cliche, but if we get counted, we get more resources. And if we get counted, the odds can be in our favor for electing more people into office who actually have the best interest of our community at heart. The census does not pay me to say any of this, but I did decide that my mini commercials, for now, will be to remind y'all to do your census. So you know what to do. If you haven't yet already, head to mycensus2020.gov and make sure that you, your family, and all your homies fill out your census. I'll just say, fam, I don't want to do heavy shows every week, but there's just a lot on my mind that's not funny. I want to laugh. I want to joke around. I want to sing my silly songs to y'all. I've re-recorded this episode so many times because I'm like, who wants to sit here and listen to me be melancholy for 15 minutes? It's supposed to be a hot take. But my hot take is that we're sad and we're tired. We're so tired. Just this week, I was on a call with Black Voters Matter, and we heard the testimony and stories of people who work for Purdue in Eastern Shore, Virginia. The lack of sanitation and the lack of safety in these meatpacking plants is criminal. It's inhumane. They're being forced back to work so that we can get our wings fried hard. And we've got to stand up for them. And it's not just Eastern Shore. It's happening in Shenandoah Valley. It's happening in southern Mississippi. It's happening in Georgia. There are meat packing plants all across the South and then up and down the northeastern coast that are putting profit above people. We already know that we've reopened this country too quickly, that we've allowed businesses to put their needs before the safety and health of everyday people. And often it's the people without any assets, especially when it comes to organizing, who are caught out there in the crossfire of these decisions. And so kudos to the folks organizing and saying to these chicken bosses that they aren't coming back to work, that they're not going to put their families at risk. To the medical professionals who are saying, I'm not going to lie for you and tell these people that they're okay. You know, people are really risking their livelihood to stand up for these folks. So we need to show up in solidarity. I don't know if we need to boycott chicken. You know, I'm not going to say that because I don't want the internet coming for me. But I will say, make sure that you're up to date on what's happening with the Purdue plant and the Tyson plant and all of the ways that they're just not showing up to keep their employees safe and yet forcing them back to work. They need our support because they're still here. I've been working for a while on my ancestry. I did the ancestry DNA. Not gonna argue with y'all about my DNA. Y'all, I am on FBI list and been surveilled by the city. My DNA is probably stored somewhere anyway, so I felt it was safe. I was like, whatever. But did my ancestry DNA and just started building my family tree. Joined this project called the 16 Project, where you try to find all 16 of your great-great-grandparents, which can prove hard for a lot of Black people, especially Southern Black people, because of our connection to slavery. I've been able to do that, and with the DNA test, I found cousins and other family members out there and connected with them. Was supposed to go down to Talladega, Alabama this summer for a family reunion with the cousins that I met through Ancestry, but of course, that's not happening. Just thinking of this theme of today's episode, Didn't Die Yesterday, we are losing so many of our ancestors. There are so many people who are on my tree who I wish I could hear from one more time, who I wish I'd ask questions when they were here. You know, tell me how it was when you were, growing up in 1920, to my great grandma, and to my granny. Tell me what it was like being a kid in North Memphis in 1942. But I didn't ask those questions. And I just think it's going to be imperative of us with all this technology to record the voices and the stories of our community, not just our big heroes like John Lewis and whatnot, but of everyday folks, because they're the ones who's going to paint the most accurate story of what life has been like. And there's still a lot of people who still can tell us, what life was like 90 and 100 years ago. Get a recorder, get a microphone, help them tell your stories. That's why I started today with my lineage, because Mother's Day just passed, and just reflecting on what made my mom, and what made my granny. And those are stories that we need to pass down to the next generation. So let's record our own stories and make sure we get the stories of the people around us as well, as many generations back as possible, so that we can learn from them. Our history is important. It's important every day. And it's by knowing how strong we really are, how resilient we really are, that we'll continue to survive as Black people. Tell your stories. Tell your family's story. And keep surviving, everybody. Ava DuVernay posted a quote from Octavia Butler that I'd like to end with. That's all anybody can do right now. Live. Hold out. Survive. I don't know whether good times are coming back again, but I know that won't matter if we don't survive these times. We didn't die yesterday, y'all. So let's survive. Let's survive for the ones who didn't make it with us to the next day. Hold their memories up in everything we do. Live and fight for them. Thank you. This has been a different vibe for episode 2. But I think it was important for me to get this out. And I hope you'll be back to listen next week to episode 3. I think I have a guest